Thanks for joining us. This is Natural AF. I'm your host, Isaac.
And I'm Alexa.
And the show is all about reconnecting with our original status, who we are, who we're meant to be, who we're created to be, minus all the synthetic artifices, all the programming, all the conditioning, all the synthetic stuff in our food, clothing, etc., and beyond. So this episode is going to touch into a very interesting gap between math and spirituality. If you haven't heard about it, it's numerology. And it's really presented in a way and by a person that is it's fun, interesting, and exciting. And it's not at all what I thought numerology was about. You know, if you would have asked me a couple years ago when I first interacted with people that were really into it, it was all like a lot of fear, a lot of like, oh, they're doing this, the Illuminati and the Freemasons. But this was very inspiring, hopeful, and empowering. Alexa pretty much owned this whole episode. You're all over it. You love numbers. You're good with it. Like it makes sense to you. And,
I've been very much looking forward to this conversation with Georgina. And Isaac didn't really get a word in, but I didn't really get a word in on Nick Patterson's episode recently because Isaac was very excited to talk to Nick, and as the conversation progressed, and I was a bit like that with Georgina. So you can't have them all, babe.
No, well, and our interests showed up differently too, because I didn't know much about Georgina's earlier like origin story of how she came out of like some of the similar stuff that Rachel Vaughn came out of. If you're aware of that whole story, if you've seen that episode, Rachel Vaughn's episode was very informative, very interesting. Hit some dark spots dealing with like satanic ritual abuse and trauma and stuff that they do to, young kids and stuff. It's got a bit of heavy stuff. We go down into the depths of that for a bit and I express my desire to do harm to such individuals. And then we move on and we get out into some of the lighter, more hopeful aspects.
Then we get into the numbers.
Yeah, it's a really good contrast. And that's where I think this is so empowering, is because you can see how dark it can be. And then the light side of it, the good, the joy that Georgina expresses through this, you can just tell it's.
Oh, and she's so living her purpose. Like she's so meant to be doing what she's doing. She's so good at it. And it seems to just flow through her, and even just the way she was brought to it. And as you'll discover in this episode, we may have potentially been listening to the inventor of numerology.
Yeah.
From a past life. But
listen to find out more about that.
Yeah.
But that really shines on what the core purpose of this show is about, and the business that, like all the businesses that we start and what we're doing, it's all about our purpose. Like, who are we? Our energy is going to pour into something. And the more we realize how precious our energy is, we're only going to put that into something that really matters and really aligns with who we are and is an expression of the truth. So the purpose of this show is really to help everyone else also live their purpose. And part of doing that is gaining clarity. And the numbers can give you clarity. It's being able to see through the veil of some sorts. And there's meaning in some of the smallest things. And I think that's also part of finding your purpose, is being humble. And the reason this makes sense, and the reason I bring the word humble into it, is a lot of people miss God because they don't look low enough. A lot of people think, the religions of the world show you like a golden throne and all the ornaments that the Pope wears and all this other stuff. That's not where God's at, in my opinion. He goes through all things, but it's in the humble things, and even the small things, like just simple numbers. And it's written into this creation. And this is a really good way to explore that. And I hope that you gain some knowledge and insights and use that to help you on your way to finding your true identity and fulfill your expression of who you're meant to be and what you're supposed to do here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had a bit of fun in this episode because I took a leaf out of Georgina's book on her podcast. When she has her guests on, she talks about their ruling numbers. And so I wanted to do something similar, and we looked at Georgina's human design, which was lots of fun. And so for anyone that's interested in that, I do offer human design readings, so the foundational stuff. So if you're new to human design, or even if you know about it, like you've maybe pulled your chart before but you don't really understand it, and you want to get a deeper insight into that, that's one of my offerings. And I absolutely love human design. I'm actually doing a couple of courses now, just really diving even deeper into it. And I just absolutely love it. So there's a link in the show notes. It'll take you to my link tree, and you can, if you're not sure and you just want to connect with me and have a chat and see how I can support you, you can just book a 30-minute, a free connection call. And if you're just ready to dive in, you can also just book straight in with me for a reading. And I'd absolutely love to connect with anyone that wants to go deeper into human design and any of my other offerings.
It's definitely helped me out a lot. Everything that Alexa's doing, she's very passionate about, and she's detail oriented, and she's very organized, and really explains things in a very, very helpful way, and helps you go through a lot of information in a short amount of time, which is, you really get your money's worth and your time's worth.
Yeah. Well, and you also get, I send you the recording, and I record our session together, and then you also get a written. So I know for
those
me,
are so good too. What do you call it? You
get a customized human design guide. So, and it's all written out. So for me, if I have a session with someone, I do also like to read. It kind of like sits, goes a bit deeper when I've read it. So you've also got something written to refer back to, but then also if you want to watch or listen back to our session together, you can do that as well.
Nice. So if you're in the US, we're in the last 2 weeks of our buy one, get one half off sale. We're launching our refreshed deodorant in the States officially now, finally, after many months of deliberation and getting all the things together to bring that to you with the highest quality ingredients made in Wyoming. And I'm excited. So the buy one, get one 50% off is available to the first 50 customers. So this is the first time refreshed deodorant is available to the US. This is my take. It's a bit of a innovation, and I'm kind of a mad scientist, and I do, if I make something and I start selling it, it's because it solves several problems and it's multifunctional. And you can order this anywhere in the world now, but it's just, it's being made in Wyoming by my lovely daughter over there, and she's doing a great job. And this is a magnesium-based lotion deodorant. Most people are used to using a stick and rubbing it under your arms. The way that we live our lives now is very connected to the earth, very connected to our own bodies. And I like using this deodorant because you actually massage it into your underarms, and it stimulates the lymphatic system, helps clean the bacteria off that's under there. It'll actually reverse body odor, and it gives you your daily supplement of magnesium. So you get a good quality magnesium chloride hexahydrate in there. And anyway, so it's really good for the nervous system, really balances out. It's a great way to start your morning. It's a great self-care ritual. And we have 2 scents: Refresh Forest, amazing cedarwood, black spruce, a little bit of pine spirits in there, and then our Refresh Calm, which is a soothing blend of rosewood, rosemary, lavender, lemongrass, a little bit of ylang ylang, and I love it. And
it's beautiful, that one.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and it also doubles as a magnesium sleep lotion. If you feel like trying that out, rub it on your feet before bed, and it'll help you absorb and relax with that magnesium. So
and you can still wear Calm during the day. Won't put you to sleep during the day. I actually prefer that one for particularly stressful days when I know I'm going to have a really busy day, because I know it's just going to deliver a lot of really calming, soothing, beautiful things to my system. But we do have a few people now using it on little bubs' feet at night. So, it's going to be a lot more powerful for little ones and help to put them to sleep. And just for everyone in general, from what we're hearing in the States, it's very hot there right now. So there's going to be lots of stinky pits, lots of sweaty feet. You guys, you definitely need it right now.
Yeah. It works for roofers. We've had people here in Australia, and Australia gets hot and it's muggy and it's humid. And I've had some people tell me there, like one in particular, her husband uses it. He works on the roof, and he's a business owner, so he has to go in and meet with the clients as well. And he loves the confidence of being able to go in and not smell like he's been working on the roof all day. Yeah. And if you work in those trades, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of repeat male customers. The men are coming back and they're like, this stuff actually works. Yeah. And they've been through a bottle now and they know it works, and they're coming back for more. So if it's tried and tested by tradies and workmen, then you know it works.
Yeah. And people are giving it to each other as gifts. It's so funny. A number of people that buy it from us, they come back for more bottles because either they give it to someone or someone like borrows it and never returns it. So that's how you know it's working. Yeah. So I'd love for you to try that out. And thank you so much for everyone that's been buying it and trying it out, supporting our business, supporting our podcast. And we love supporting you. Get back in touch with your body, get in touch with what's really natural and true and clean for you. So
absolutely,
it's a win-win-win.
And if you do head to the website, naturalartform.com, if you haven't already, don't forget to join the mailing list, because that's where we send everything first. So whenever we launch a new product, if we've got sales going, like, they're always the first people to know about it before we post to social media or anything like that. So yeah, join the mailing list, stay in the loop. And without further ado,
one quick thing. So a couple weeks ago, we had an episode drop. It was all about the spiritual side of
with Nick and Dottie.
Yeah. And we had some audio issues, some technical difficulties that slipped under the wire, slipped under my nose. So I apologize for that. I did re-upload it and there's still some stuff. It's just the audio was not tracking properly. And I blame Dottie. She's way too high vibe and too spiritual. I think it actually set the internet, like it literally turned back time or something. I don't know. There was some weird overlays.
Yeah, we had some weird technical issues, and it was just interesting because it's one of two things happening, potentially both things happening at the same time. But Rachel Vaughan, who we've had on this podcast before, talks about when there's really high frequencies around, it can mess with electrical things. But also we can get little demonic gremlins in the system not wanting certain information to get out. So who knows, but it was interesting. But yeah, we apologize. By the time we had it reported back to us that there were two spots in the second half of the episode that just you literally couldn't listen to for a couple of minutes. We'd already recorded the intro for the next episode, so we didn't address it last week. But we did our best to fix it. But just toughen up, guys. Just fast forward till it stops and then listen to the rest. There's still tons of gold in that episode.
Yes, go grab your pickaxe, go get that gold. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's get into this episode.
Let's do it. Georgina Grace is a single mother, master numerologist, sovereign entrepreneur, healer, and survivor of satanic ritual abuse. She devotes her life to alchemizing the darkness she has experienced in order to bring the depth to her clients that many report is unmatched. Georgina is passionate about empowering sovereignty for all and believes that if this world we live in is a simulation, then numbers and letters are the coding, and having a deep understanding of our own numerological fingerprint is the gateway into the realm of true sovereignty. Numerology has been misused, misunderstood, and misinterpreted for the longest time. Georgina is here to set the record straight.
Hello. So awesome to meet you and talk to you in person, Georgina. This is going to be quite the ride.
Yeah, so excited to have you on.
I'm so excited to be here. I've been looking forward to coming on for so long.
Yeah, it feels like this has been a long time coming. I say that on so many podcasts because by the time we get in touch and try and find a date and then book it, feels like it's been months that we've been waiting. But yeah, super exciting. We were just chatting off air and saying how we were both at the Living Free Festival last year and we didn't see you once because you were so busy.
Yeah, I can't believe that you were both there. So the only reason why I met Kate and Jimmy was because they were literally right next door to me, and it was like every now and then I'd come out for bloody air and like I've eaten just. So very grateful for that experience. So busy and met so many incredible souls. It was really cool to do readings at that, because every time I do a reading, it's like it just adds to my database of I'm constantly doing research and I noticed the patterns and everything like that. And it was very interesting. A lot of high level frequency numerologically wise was at that festival, and my little tent was like something magical buzzing. Happening in that.
That was really unique. The number of people that were drawn there, that I mean, even at the market you'll see that with us too, but just the energy that we put out and the kind of people that we attract, imagine that with all of that collectively and all those people in one place. It was just quite the vibe.
It was quite a vibe. And the word spread so quickly there. It was it was incredible. Yeah. And so you're going again?
Yeah, we're going again. I'd love to see the a mix up or mashup of some of these other things. So I went to Music and Sky Fest and they had like a huge tent the first time I went, where they had all kinds of different practitioners and readings and stuff you could do. And I was like, that's a really good idea. And I'd like to see more of that at the Living Free Festival, because there's so many different people, even just in our local group here, that have, we have someone that, you know, there's numerology, there's someone that Alexa now is doing human design, there's other people with...
well, there's definitely way more workshops at this year's festival, and they've got an extra stage so that, they can do more. So I think there will definitely be more of that. So that's why I'm so keen, like, even just knowing the workshops, but you're just like, I still just want to, like, get there and, like, see what it's going to be all about. It's going to be awesome.
Totally. It's so exciting. Maybe let's do it again.
Let's kick it off. I'm gonna do so. For anyone that hasn't listened to Georgina's podcast, I love it, highly recommend it. It's a mouthful. The Real Lies podcast. I have to say it slowly.
Yeah,
I can't get it out.
Even I, when I'm introducing guests, I'm just like, every time I just say the same word over and over again. I'm like, I don't say it right every time. That's it.
Well, that's what some people have done, where they've just shortened it to an acronym, because they're at some point of just repeating themselves. They're like, this is the R-E-R-E-R-E-R-E podcast.
So I love listening to the podcast, and what Georgina does with her guests is when they come on, she starts with their ruling numbers, because obviously numbers is her thing. And I love that so much that I was like, can I do a human design at the beginning of your episode? Because I was also really curious. I'm a bit like you, Georgina, where I'm just like, I just want everyone's chart and I just want to read, and like I do the same thing. I kind of like start to pick up on patterns, and like you see how things play out in different people. It's like super, super interesting. So you're a 2-4 sacral manifesting generator. So Isaac here is also a sacral manifesting generator. So
woo.
Yep. So very dynamic energy. Very much like, you know, man-gens are non-linear beings. You kind of like, you know, you can juggle a million different things. You don't really do anything in a straight line. You know, you never go from A to B to C. It's kind of like A, maybe we'll go to D, and then we'll go back to B, and then we'll go to F, and and it's throughout that process, the man-gens are really here to find like the most efficient ways to do things and new ways to do things. And the 2-4 profile, I'm actually a 2-4, which is a really nice balance of the hermit and the opportunist, it's called in human design, but just like the networker. So it's like this, you really need that time to yourself, and to be really like introverted and be alone and really like hone your gifts and your skills. And then the 4 line is when you're out in, you know, with people, and you're just like the social butterfly, and you're just the networker, and like really anything you need for a 4 line, you just go to your network and it'll be there for you. And then so what I find really interesting, again, I love looking at charts and going like, oh, this is so you. So you only have 3 defined centers, so you're quite open. And of course, so you've got the defined sacral, and then you've also got your sacral is connected to your throat. So you're a pure man-gen. So you have a lot of that. Well, what I find because Isaac's also a pure man-gen, I find that you get a little bit more of that manifestor energy, which is like, so you've got to, as a generator, wait to respond. But then when you're ready, like you actually do have to inform people of what you're going to do, because otherwise it's a bit like a bulldozer. Like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and you better get out of the way. So that's why it's like really important for pure man-gens to, inform people of what you're about to do. But then you've also got your spleen defined and connected to your throat, and the spleen is all about intuition, and with it being connected to your throat, you're here to communicate that intuition, which is like, that's you to a T. Like, that's 100% you.
Wow.
And then the last thing I want to touch on, because again, I had to look at your incarnation cross, which is kind of like your life path or a life theme, and yours is all about, it's the energy, like the need to be busy, and also be very productive. And it's all about like doing it, whatever it is, it's all about doing it, but it's not getting caught up in the doing. It's really important for you to listen to your soul and do what your soul's calling you to do, that's just so you.
That's so wild. That is so wild. How cool is that? It's so bloody accurate. I love these modalities, and I love, you know, Dale Holmes. I don't know. I'm sure you both know who Dale Holmes is.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
We've done some events together, and a quote that he says that I love, it just resonates with me so much, is that when something is true, it's proven from multiple different vantage points. And I just love that so much.
Yeah.
Because, yes, there's so many different ways to understand yourself. And I think it's so powerful. Like bringing understanding to yourself is like step one to sovereignty, in my opinion. And that's so wild. I love this. I love it so much. Everything you said was absolutely accurate. I'm absolutely, just like when I get my eyes on something.
Yeah.
But then I need a lot of solitude, a lot of solitude.
Yeah.
Otherwise I get like cotton mouthed and like, I'm like, oh, I can't anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's so important. Again, I'm that 2/4. And it's so funny because I've often said, I'm such an introvert. And everyone's like, no, you're not. You're such an extrovert, a social butterfly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what people see of me a lot of the time when I'm like sort of out in the world. But like, I so need my alone time and I love it. Like I really relish in it. But I love that quote that you mentioned from Dale, because I often say that on this podcast. Like for me, when I start to hear the same message or like the same like stream of knowledge coming from different, like from lots of different people and different schools of thought, that's for me, that's when it resonates as truth. And that's what I love about all of these, like numerology and astrology and human design, because it's like all these different pieces of yourself. Like I think people can get caught up in like, it's just all about astrology, or it's just all about human design. They don't look at anything else, and it can be quite dogmatic. But I think when you look at all of these different things, they'll tell you different things about yourself, but they a lot of the time they're also telling you the same things, just in a different way. Yeah.
Which is I think it's so necessary as well, because it's like you can watch the same movie. If it's a good movie, if it's not a good movie, you're not going to watch it multiple times. But it's, just like that old saying, like you can watch a movie a million times and pick up different things from it every time you watch it. And every time you watch it, you're at a different phase in your life, in a different, place. You've done growth, healing, blah, 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 blah. So different things apply to different times, So I think it's so essential to understand. I'm just like, the most I can understand about myself, the better. And I love hearing different perspectives as well, because it's like, I didn't know that. But then also, you probably do this too. I'm like, so how does that translate to numerology? Like the 2 and the 4, I'm so fat because I've friends that do human design and stuff like that and astrology, and they're all, and I've sat with them and I'm like, the numbers exist there, and how it's like the languaging around the numbers is different, but what they're attempting to communicate is very similar. And I love that so much. So much. So, thank you for that. That was really cool.
You're welcome. Well, that's what I love about numerology too. Like the numbers, I was actually thinking about that yesterday. I was like, you can't escape numbers. Like they're literally everywhere. And even like that in human design, you've got like the 64 gates and then the profile lines. And it'd be so interesting to do a deep dive on that stuff and see how the energy of the numbers plays out in like different systems like that. So let's dive in to your journey about how you sort of came to numerology, what led you to be on this path that you're on now. And I know that you've got a pretty wild story about your upbringing, and again, you share as much as you feel comfortable, and I definitely encourage people to go back and listen to your very first podcast episode, because you shared very openly, and I know that was like a big thing for you, and it was very courageous. But I think we're at this point in time where people do need to share this stuff, not only so we can heal, but people are more aware of like the stuff that goes on in the world, so that we can heal collectively as well. So you share as much as you feel comfortable to, my love.
Thank you so much. This is a part I always get awkward at this part. That first episode was pretty wild. The part of the reason why I started the podcast in the first place was because I sat down one day, and I don't know about you, but I was the last person to do my own numerology chart and to look at it myself kind of as objectively as I possibly could. And when I finally did that, I was like, all right, like if I was going to give a reading to someone else, what would I say to them? And whatever I would say to them, I'm now just going to apply that into my life robotically without any emotion or attachment. And I had to be that way about it because I decided that if I was really serious about doing this thing called numerology, which at the time was really still not used, it wasn't common. It was like reinventing the wheel almost, as most people have, trauma around maths and numbers, thanks to the schooling system, which I think is a psyop and intentional, because most people then never look at their own numbers ever afterwards. So, I was like, if I'm really serious about this thing, I'm going to have to actually practice what I preach. And so I intentionally did that to experiment and see if what I'm preaching is actually valid, because there's no examples of it out there in the world, as for what I could tell at that point. And so I robotically applied what I would tell, what advice I would give to someone else if I was reading this chart to someone. And one of the things was, given I'm a 303 life path, there's no other number in that. So all I have there, as you said, with my throat chakra directly connected, it's like I literally have to use my voice. That is my tool. That's my modality. That's the way that people are going to reach me, or I'm going to reach them. Like, if I'm not using my voice, I'm literally not living my aligned life at all, So, however, what I know about the numbers, because of the history that I've got, I have this pretty insane ability to see the light and the darkness almost equally. So when I see the magic of a number, I also see what it takes behind the scenes to develop that magic, and literally because I'm a living example of it. And so whilst on one hand my voice is my number one most potent and powerful tool, in fact it's like the 303, there's no other number, so that's it, that's all I've got. The one place I'm going to have the most trauma and trigger around is literally the using of my voice. And that, I share in that first podcast episode, I'm pretty sure I do. Feels like ages ago now, that for the first probably 20 years of my life, I was basically mute. My biggest fear was being asked a question, any question. It didn't matter what it was, because of the abuse that I received. It's weird to use that word with that. Growing up, so I'm just to be clear, I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse and satanic ritual abuse. And there has been a lot of programming around speaking and speaking up. And so, and the abuse and the programming was specifically around, when I speak, or if I speak, someone else would suffer. Not like I would suffer, but for me, the pain really came when they would threaten someone else's life or someone else in front of me. So really the fear of speaking is literally like the fear of death, life and death for me.
Wow.
And pretty wild. And so that in life growing up, I was, like I said, my biggest fear was being asked a question. So whenever I had to speak, I'd make sure I'd cover all the bases, what are the potential questions people could ask me? Let me just cover up all those potential, and then, okay, all right, we're good, right? No one's asking me a question. And so, my biggest breakdown moment where I was kind of like, I either need to, hop, skip and jump out of this life, or I've got to actually do something about this, was when I was probably about 19, 20, and I'd ordered a coffee in a cafe in Burke Street, Melbourne. It was pissing down with rain and it was busy as heck, as it always is. And I'd ordered a coffee and I was at the brink of breakdown. You're at that point when someone could just ask you, hey, how you going? And that's it. And you will just break down. I was right at that point. So I wasn't on my, I wasn't sharp to like cover all the bases as I usually would. And I'd ordered a coffee and they asked me what milk I wanted.
That was it.
That was it. And I had a full-blown like mental breakdown in the middle of pouring down Burke Street, the top end of Burke Street, in Melbourne, and people were just hustling and bustling all around me, and I'm just totally and utterly having a mental breakdown because I couldn't answer the question, what milk do I want? You know? So that was I will say I had many of those moments throughout my life, but there was something about that, the social setting, it just was like, this is insane. I've got to do something about this, you know? And so that was when I really started to double down. I've been self-healing since probably the age of about 14, 15 years old. But that was like a moment where I'm like, all right, like you really got to double down here because this isn't okay, you know?
And how old were you at that point, Georgina?
I was probably somewhere between 18 and 20.
So still really young. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still really young. It feels like I was like 40 at that point with what I'd gone through, but no, yeah, it feels weird to say I was only 18 because I look at 18-year-olds now and I'm like, you baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then fast forward, I'm like staring at my own chart and I'm looking at that 303 and I'm like, oh, fuck, I've got to start a podcast. And I'm like, what the fuck, you know? And it like months and months went by where I was just like, oh nah, like that's you know, all of the triggers, all of it. Who's going to want to listen to me? What the F have I got to say? I'm nobody. Like you can't, all of the programming came up of like, you can't do that. That's insane.
Can I also just say quickly, that's such a man-gen thing to do. Instead of like, I'm going to start with having a conversation with someone. They're like, no, I've got to start a podcast. I've just got to go right to the most extreme, like the biggest thing. I've just got to start there.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I will say that at this point, I had worked pretty tirelessly on myself where I was at a point where, I mean, at this point, the awareness that I had of my trauma growing up was I thought I was just a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. Mm-hmm. Right? I thought my dad was just your run-of-the-mill pedophile.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right.
I don't mean to laugh at that, but yeah. Anyway.
We laugh at some pretty gnarly things on this podcast. It's fine.
Yeah, I got a pretty dark humor. So I just thought he was kind of the run-of-the-mill pedophile. Even though I had quite extreme reactions to random things that didn't make sense. And I'd had a lot of experiences with dark spirit and stuff like that throughout my life. So I'd really shut off this whole part of myself, knowing that it was there, this very spiritual part of myself, very much shut it off because of the dark experiences. And so I had gotten to a point where I could openly talk about the childhood sexual abuse, you know, amongst friends. And I was an open book. You can ask me any questions. I've got no issues with sharing about this thing. In fact, I was like, it's really important that you do ask me questions because awareness, right? Like this is very common. And at the time, the statistics in Australia was like 1 in 4 women in Australia will experience some kind of sexual abuse at some point in their life. And that's like, that was like, you know, 10, 20, well, I don't know how many years ago now, probably 15 years ago, you know, so those numbers have really increased. So sexual abuse is something that's actually quite common and borderline normal, which is really terrible to say. So I was pretty open with talking about it amongst close friends and one-on-one. And so I thought, oh, you know, like this won't be so bad starting a podcast and talking about it. And I really wanted to start that podcast off. Like it's called Realize podcast, right? And so it's like, I can't name a podcast that and then not be authentic with who I am and what I've been through. And as you said, I have to kind of let people know what I'm doing. And so that was me going, this is me, this is what I am, this is what I'm here for. And scared shitless, absolutely scared shitless. I look back at that podcast and I just cringe because I'm like, I'm not even looking at the camera. I'm like looking down the whole time. It was terrifying, but it was, yeah. So after doing that, because I did that in the spirit of experimenting with numerology, but also with the intention of aligning myself to my highest truth. It was that starting that podcast and that episode that then sent me on this trajectory of unraveling the trapdoors in all of those childhood memories and the SRA stuff and the, flashbacks and the memory retrieval and everything started to come out of that. But I'm very grateful for it because it's that darkness that I'm still walking through it, probably will be for a long time, that has really aligned me to like my highest truth so far. So far. So that was not at all what you asked me to talk about.
Well, that's all very, very important. Like I didn't know any of that stuff. I've heard Lex listening to your show in the background, but it's more, it's more like the brighter part, obviously like you laugh a lot and you're very uplifting and it's a cheery show. So I actually had no idea that you had, I think Alex had mentioned that before, but it just didn't connect because like that story to your personality doesn't really match up. But I don't know, to me, it's very interesting given like our conversation with Rachel Vaughn, all this stuff, and then how transformative it is. Like my own little bit of like my parents both had a form of like trauma when they were kids, but none of my brothers or I that I know of like ever had any of that. But them to their degree of healing and not passing on that trauma was amazing because our lives could have been totally different had they just like not dealt with whatever and just passed on that trauma or continued
the pattern. Yeah.
So you're in that in between, where you're ending that cycle for your lineage going forward. And that's incredibly powerful. And I almost wonder if that's why people like you chose to come in, if that's what we do, if we do choose to come in,
got cold shivers.
To end that and create a whole different story for a whole different lineage.
Firstly, I just want to say that I'm just very grateful for the two of you because this is the first podcast that I've fully acknowledged the satanic ritual abuse, that I've really said it out loud and owned it. It's something to say it out loud. So I just thank you for being the space and the safety for me to share that with the world. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
You're so welcome. It's really interesting. I was meditating last night. I actually spent quite a lot of time yesterday meditating for some reason. Maybe it's something to do with the full moon. It was very intense. But I received these words came to me. It's just really funny what you said there, Isaac, because, these words came to me from Spirit, I believe, that said, I'm here to alchemize the darkness of the world, to bring healing to the planet, and to realign humanity to their most sovereign and abundant timeline.
Wow.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
That's powerful. That gives me shivers because it just shows how potent that is. Like all the darkness can throw at it, all the arrows, all the insults and wounds and shame and humiliation, all that stuff. And then you have this little flame that comes in and just ignites and like pierces through that. Yeah. It's amazing. It's incredible.
And it just makes me feel so grateful. Like that's gratitude is something that I live my life by. I mean, not in every moment, of course, because when I'm in a triggered state, no, I want heads to roll, you know. Mm-hmm. But gratitude is something, it sounds wild to say this, but to go through what I've gone through, I actually feel so grateful for it because of the depth that provides me, and that I have this ability to see people, you know, and there's like nothing someone can say. There's nothing someone can say to me, share with me, that's going to make me waver in any kind of way. And I'm just so grateful for that. So grateful for that. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's one of those things I feel like, because I've heard Max Lowen on a few interviews, and I listened to the episode you did with her and the one you did with Rachel Vaughn, and we've had Rachel Vaughn on, and actually, and it's interesting. Are they both ruling 36 nines? And there's something to I'll get you to get into that in a sec, but I love how both of them speak to, I know Max speaks to this specifically, where she says that she believes that her soul chose to came in and experience this so that she could end the cycle and then help others heal, because that's a big part of her work now. And I think, you know, just that perspective, because it's a fine line, right? It's like no one consciously like chooses to experience sexual abuse, right? In our human form. I mean, there's nuance to that, I'm sure, but like we don't, and then, you know, but then it goes, I think a lot of the new age spiritual stuff goes too far in the other way and goes, well, if you experience that, your soul just chose to do that. And it's kind of like, and then it's like bypassing but on such a deep level, I think that there is this, and it's not for everyone. Like it's not an easy path. And that's why I think so many people that do experience that end up like becoming a victim to it, and they can end up like super messed up. But for the ones that really do want to step up, it is so extremely powerful, because it's not just healing on the individual level. It is healing on a collective and a generational level, which is like, and that's what I want to acknowledge, like for you guys, like for you, for Max, for Rachel, that have gone through this and completely transmuted it and are now in a position to help others in whatever way that they can. Like, that's just phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, if anyone's consciously choosing sexual abuse, it's not sexual abuse, is it?
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
That's consensual. So, you know, I just wanted to nip that in the bud. But no, it's really easy to go to the extreme, like you said, and kind of bypass it spiritually as like, you know, but that really is just an example of you're wanting to just look at the goodness without actually walking yourself through the darkness.
Yeah.
And once you've really walked yourself through the darkness, and I'm like, it is not a pretty process. It's not like, the way that it happens for me is that I go through these flashbacks, I've been calling them, and because I really believe it's because I'm like quite balanced on a spiritual, emotional, and physical level, that then in those flashbacks on a spiritual, physical, and emotional level, I completely dissolve the current reality, and I'm in this memory. I'm in this reality where this abuse is taking place, and I can't see around me. I'm like not conscious in the moment. So it's a full blown reliving, going back into the actual darkness from my adult self's body, and like reprocessing that through my cells in order to then alchemize it and transmute it. And like I've done wild things through these flashbacks, or like where I'd be hitting myself, or I'd be crazily drawing down these things that I have no conscious memory of actually doing in the moment, or speaking in like a light language type thing, or, you know, just like, and then like screaming out in pain. Sorry for all the bloody gory details, right. But, you know, like screaming out in all this pain, but I have no real conscious memory of doing that in the current reality. But I have when I come out of the flashback, I have all the memory of that memory of being there as a child and all this kind of stuff. And then I'm able, and then it's like a period of time afterwards where it takes takes days, it can take weeks, it can take months, it can take years to really integrate that into your reality, because it's a wild thing to live life like this is the cinema and this is the movie of my life and what I know, and there's a certain identity that's been built based off what this cinema plays, and then all of a sudden you trip on a freaking thing and there's a trap door and it's like, hang on a second, who am I really and what am I really? And and the question why comes up a lot through that process, so you can't really authentically skip to the good part, because you don't really receive the true reason why until you've actually faced that darkness to go like, there has got to be a good reason. There's got to be a reason why someone has to go through this, survive it, be on the other side of it. And not only that, be interested in living a life to the fullest potential, not for themselves, but for the world around them. Like, that's wild. Like, if I look at that objectively, like, I'm not talking about myself, like, because a lot of people will resonate with this. Like, there has got to be, like, think about how wild it is to go through something so severe as a child, whatever level of trauma it is. It doesn't have to be this extreme. It's, it's relative to your circumstance, but to go through something so severe as a child, survive it as a child when you are underdeveloped, you have no awareness of the world, your survival capacity is very, 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 very limited. Like, you don't have use of your limbs, and do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
to survive something like that as a child, and then to grow, not only survive something, but then to live a life where you actually want to do good things and be good in the world and to help people, and at the very bare minimum, like, that's wild, in my opinion. That is such an extreme swing of the pendulum. And like, you ask these people that have been through these kinds of things and you ask them, like, what kept you going? And a lot of them have no answer. Like, it's just what you got to do, and this is where I'm like, you're one of those special ones. You're one of those special, call it angelic, call it high frequency, call it, chosen, like, whatever it is, you're one of those special ones that, I think maybe you did sign up at a soul level to come in and have a pretty extreme experience to help aid humanity through some kind of, transition. And a lot of people think that you have to be vocal, you have to be speaking out, you have to be in the public eye to make that kind of impact to humanity. But it's not true. You're healing on a personal, individual level. Like, if you can heal, truly heal and transmute and alchemize that darkness on your own. No, I don't mean on your own. Obviously, you need lots of support, but I mean, you don't have to like scream about it and be in the public eye. Like, you doing that in your own world is what brings healing to this freaking planet, because that is alchemizing darkness wherever the darkness exists. And that's so, like, I just find it so magical. And we're at a time now where the darkness is coming to the surface, not just at a collective level, but at an individual level. And it's almost unavoidable, and you can see, like, there's a couple of timeline shifts happening at the moment where there are people splitting off and they're going into it. They're like, bring this shit on, baby.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people that are going that other way. And it's like, those timelines are we're not going to be soon. They'll be completely, separated, and we will not be able to interact with people on this other timeline. So there I go again. I just went off on a whole tangent, and I still haven't answered your original question.
No, I love it. No, totally. We totally agree.
That brings up so much, but that's why I like the flow of the conversation. We can see where we go, and also what information needs to come out, or the questions that pop in. But one thing that kept coming up, I was like, I've heard other people ask the question, but I haven't. I'm new to you and your story. Why does this stuff exist? Why do these people perpetrate this evil on children, the most vulnerable? and their own offspring. I cannot imagine. I think most of our listeners probably can't imagine treating your own child with such grotesque, nonsense. Like, just ugh. But why? Why do they do this? And how do we stop it? Like, what do you think the path is to like putting an end to this? Because I just want to I want to marshal the resources of like the military background, the intelligence services, like go find these guys, and like the good guys in the intelligence services, go find them and just make them disappear.
Yes. Yes, 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 absolutely. Absolutely. That is a very normal and healthy response to something like this. And the first thing I'll say to answer your question about why is something I've sat with for a really, really, really long time, of course. And what I've realized is that if you're asking the question why, it's likely because you're a pure-hearted soul, and as much intellectual understanding as you can bring, you'll never be able to understand truly the reason why someone can and how they could be capable of doing this. Like that straight away, it's like, yeah, we can do some research and we can try and figure out the reasons. Like, are there logistical, monetary power, reasons why they're doing this? Yes, 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 yes to all of that. But at the heart of it, we'll never, ever be able to truly understand why and how someone can actually be capable of doing even childhood sexual abuse, let alone everything else. I mean, part of the reason why they have to perform such heinous rituals on children is because they have to invoke some kind of demonic entity in order to override their human nature in order to be capable of these things. So you cannot be a living, breathing human with a human heart and look at a small child and do these things. It's like, that's not, you can't do that. You have to be you have to be taken over by some kind of darkness to be able to do.
So is that kind of like the I don't know if you've seen that movie Arthur, like King Arthur, and there's the evil uncle that sacrifices his own, like kills his wife, kills his daughter, sacrifices it, and then gets this immense power from it. Is it a thing like that where they're protected supernaturally because of their willingness to do these things on some degree?
Yeah. I mean, this is a thing, like human sacrifice has been actually part of human history for a really long time. Even the Vikings used to sacrifice humans to the gods because they believed that, like they do sacrifices of like goats and stuff like that because they like, if we offer this to you, then you're going to, gift us with protection or abundance, or it'll stop the plague from occurring and killing all the people. So the highest form of sacrifice is, a human sacrifice, right? So it's been happening in our history for a really, really, really long time. But these people, what they believe, it really is like, if I sacrifice a human, especially a child, because they're so the most pure, right? They really are the most pure, and sacrificing and inverting. It's always about the inversion of their frequency and using that. It's really messed up, but this is what they get their power from. And
If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you have a curious mind, an open heart, and are a seeker of freedom and truth. And there is nothing more freeing than seeking and finding the truth of who you are. And this is where I'd love to support you. I'm a self-alignment coach that helps you to align with who you were divinely born to be, not who you were conditioned to be. The aim of my work is to guide you to live a more purposeful and fulfilling life that is totally authentic to you. One of the modalities I work with is Psych K, where I facilitate you in transforming your limiting beliefs and perceptions into empowering beliefs that align with your goals and where you want to be in life, not where you've already been, which is often lost, stuck, or unfulfilled. I also work with human design, which offers an energetic blueprint of who you are and how you were designed to operate in the world. I offer readings for both individuals and couples, as it is not only an amazing tool for self-discovery and alignment, but also for understanding different relationship dynamics. So if you're ready to overcome blocks and programming that doesn't serve you anymore, unlock your potential, and harness your innate gifts, then I'd love to work with you. Get started today and book in an obligation-free 30-minute discovery call with me via the link in the show notes, and I'd love to connect and see how I can support you. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. So I just want to skip back a little bit, just while it's a perfect segue. I'd love for you to explain, so with Max Lowen and Rachel Vaughan, how they're both 36-9 ruling numbers. And I know you've talked about how that's quite significant to their experience and you know, the work that they now do in the world. Can you explain those? And because I've heard this before from someone when we were talking about numerologists a couple of years ago, about like the 3-6-9 are particularly powerful numbers because they build on each other.
Yes. I'm just going to take a sip of water.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, my gosh. I love freaking numbers and talking about numbers. So the 3-6-9, firstly, everybody knows who Nikola Tesla is, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was obsessed with energy and frequency and all this stuff. And he was particularly obsessed with three numbers, and that was the 3, the 6, and the 9. And so the reason why, and this is like some research that I've done, but also just like channeling this through, is a lot of what I teach in numerology is channeled, not necessarily read or learned.
Not surprising at all with your defined spleen connected to the throat.
yes, because like I reached a point. I used to live a lot of my life thinking I can't use my voice unless I've got a certification to say so. And then I was like, oh, I'm a 303. That's a direct channel from consciousness. Shit, I better be very selective with what information I actually take in, because I don't actually want it to contaminate, so to speak, what comes through that channel. So then I made a decision to never read anything on numerology, read books or anything like that, because I want whatever comes through me to be as pure as possible, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, which is such a mindset shift. But so part of the reason why Tesla was obsessed with those three numbers is because those three numbers explain how we are able to exist in this reality. So the number 3 represents consciousness itself. And you probably won't read that in a book. That's been channeled from me. So 3 represents consciousness itself. And when you understand like truly the depths of that, everything starts as consciousness, aka everything starts as an idea. Right? Consciousness is like the cloud that everything is stored up in, but it's also the cloud of potential. So it's like things that have happened are all stored up in there, but it's thoughts, ideas, intentions, everything. So it's an idea is still potential. So consciousness is like ever evolving, ever expanding, and it's up to us as the embodiment of consciousness to basically like select the files that we want to drop down. Do you know what I mean? Bring down into reality. So the 3 energy itself represents consciousness. When it's embodied, embodied meaning we embody this energy. We're a 303 life path, 369, that embodiment acts as somewhat of a receiver, like a walkie-talkie. And I love the number 3 reminds me of those old school phone cords, the windy ones, so it's like that handheld is the receiver through this channel, direct from consciousness. So that's 3, the 3 part of the 369. The 6 is it looks like a pregnant lady.
Yeah, it does.
So, so we have this channel the 3 energy that comes down like this, and it comes into this 6 energy. And the 6 is like the birth, the creation into matter, into the physical, right? And so that's the 6 is a feminine energy. It's the fiercest of the feminine energy, because it's like that mama bear type energy. So people that have 6 energy are very naturally protective people. And they always say that, you know, the masculine's a protector, the feminine is the nurturer, and it's true, but you don't worry about the father bears in the wild. You worry about the mama bears. In fact, the term mama bear literally came from bears in the wild. So the 6 is the birth and the creation into matter, into the physical, and anything that's divinely created is always, there's always right next to that divine responsibility. So, for example, mothers, when they give birth, yes, there's this overwhelming experience of love, but actually what's really there is this insane, almost intimidating fear level necessity to protect this thing. And so mothers will become naturopaths, they'll become dietitians, they'll become, you know, like all of these different things, not like necessarily like qualified in these things, but they will become all of these things because this is now my divine responsibility to take care and nurture and love and look after. Humans with 6 energy, we protect via prevention, right? So we're always looking 10 million steps ahead. What are the potential leaks? Let me plug them up right now. You know, so people with 6 energy, this is Mother Earth energy, Mother Nature energy. It's like everybody is my children, you know, the plants, the trees, the ocean, the animals, the children, good, bad, ugly, otherwise, toxic, abusive, whatever. I feel a divine responsibility for all that exists in matter, right? So that's the 6. Then we have the 9 energy. The 9 represents energy and frequency itself. So this is literally everything that exists ever, past, present, or future. Everything is energy. Anything that has ever existed and will ever exist exists as energy. So, you know, if each number was a radio station, a channel on a radio station, then the 9 is the frequency that they all operate on. And so you have these 3, and also the 9 is like the end of the cycle of numbers. They're interested in ending cycles. They're all about completion, transformation. 9s are the healers, AKA to heal, you know, that truly is transmuting energy. That is what healing is. You take a frequency, you transmute it to a higher or its more healed frequency. So the 3, 6, 9 is like, you know, Tesla said, he's quoted to say that when you understand the truth of the 369, you unlock and understand the truth of the literal universe. And that is literally the truth, because those 3 things are what's literally required for us to physically exist here. We need consciousness. We need to be able to birth into matter. And then we need the capacity to interact with the energetic universe that we live in, which is what's granted to us via that 9 energy. And so when someone's life path number is a 3, 6, 9, they have spent theoretically, you know, if human beings cycle through, because what's cool about the life path number, I believe, is that, you know, we cycle through them at a soul level. So it's like you could start at the 1 life paths, you know, and cycle through all the different 1 life paths. And my son that was born is a 10-1, which is that's the first one you could ever be, you know, so it's likely his first time being a human.
Wow.
So yeah, that's cool, so interesting to look at that too. I love that.
Yeah. So, you know, he's born on the 1st and he's a 10-1 life path. And it's like everything to him is like brand new, you know, like really, really brand new. And he's like 3.5 now, and he still is so like rubbish, you know, like everything's so wildly brand new. And it's so cool to see. You know, and so the 369s are really like, that's the highest 9 life path that you can be, right? And so theoretically, these people have done the trial and error, physically incarnated over and over again, probably millions of times, that they've tried different combinations of numbers in their chart. Like, oh, if I put a 5 here, will that help me? You know, like they'll go through all of the trials, all the tribulations, like literally the trial and error. And they've now reached this point where it's like, okay, in order to end this cycle, I need to do it via the actual starting place, consciousness. So I've got to get into the consciousness of humanity. I've got to be able to access that and channel that. I've got to then but bring that and birth that into the physical. So I'm here to impact and end the cycle at a conscious level, at a physical level, and at a full-blown energetic everywhere. I'm eradicating this energetically, full stop. And we do that via transmuting it, not by guns and weapons and, you know, like burning people alive, which is what I often want to do. You know, but we do it through like actually spreading awareness with the 3 energy, 6 energy, like they're you know, they're both mothers, 3, 6, 9. Of course they are, right?
Yeah.
So I hope that kind of makes
that makes perfect sense. And especially like knowing Rachel pretty well, and and obviously having listened to Max, like just even as you were just going through each number, as you know, built on the, like from 3 to the 6 to the 9, I was like, makes perfect sense why they've come in. And I love looking at that aspect of like even sort of the cycle, our soul cycle, because I had a reading with Rachel, and she said that I've lived 5 cycles, which she said most 80 or 90% of her clients that she reads for, usually it's around 3 cycles, and I've done 5, and that's, she's talking about the 36,000 year cycles or whatever. So it's just really interesting, because I'm like, if I'm a 303 and say we come through like the different, I mean, I don't know if we do them in sequential order, but I'm like, that's probably because I'm like in my 5th cycle, like I'm now coming through as a 3, but like I've probably done it a million times before. Really interesting to look at that aspect.
Yeah.
But before
before we move on too far from this actually really is starting to answer the other question that I had about bringing this stuff to an end. Because as you were speaking and talking about the nature of these numbers and what they mean and the gravity of it and the power of it, and I just had this knowing, and we've talked about it before in different forms on this show, but you don't, like, well, you know, like we're studying the Bible a little bit more recently, Jesus, and I remember something he would say, like, don't return evil for evil, return evil with good. And that doesn't mean just like in that narrow viewpoint of like, oh, you have to go and like be nice to the to your bullies and like, you know, give them gifts, but it's transmuting that, like whatever evil comes at you, we are literally like these vortexes that can transmute that. Or like is it in my Manjan thing or is it something else where I like repeat and amplify other people's emotions?
Oh, that's your open emotional center.
Yeah. Okay. So there's that where I can like, if someone comes at me aggressively, I will destroy them. Like I will, you know, fight to the death. Yeah. Or I can take, you know, we have this ability to take this damage and then a flower grows out of it, or a tree, and then a forest. So that's how I see we overcome this. These dark entities cannot live on their own. They need to parasitically suck energy off of others. And the more empowered we are as humans, the more our consciousness expands, and the more energetically we stand against them. I feel really, really strongly their supply is running low. And they're being forced underground. They're spending trillions and trillions of dollars building these underground bunkers. And I'm like, good. Have hundreds of trillions of dollars, build even more bunkers, and just bury yourselves alive. Because we're taking over the surface.
And absolutely. And at the same time, you know, underground is better, but it's also closer to the core of Mother Earth. So
I think she's got some tricks down there for her.
Some lava maybe. But like, it's so great because, you know, this is something that I love about numbers and numerology because it's such a direct access. It's so simple. This is a thing I love so much about is the simplicity of it, because I really believe that the intention, or at least what I hold myself to with the intention of numerology, is to empower the individual, empower sovereignty for the individual on all levels, at a personal level, but then at a collective level as well. Because numbers it's not a new concept for people. It's something we interact with every single day. You know, we are numbers form the fabric of this reality, literally. You know, numbers and letters, but letters represent a number is literally just a spokesperson for the energy that they stand in front of, do you know? So, and it's in terms of using numbers to understand their tactics, it makes life so much easier. And this is what like step one, as I said, is understanding your own numerology, your own chart, because the very first thing that we receive when we are birthed into this reality is literally numbers, right? When on our birth certificate, they want to know everything to do with our numbers and letters. There's no like, you know, astrological, like none of it's like, no. What are your numbers? I need to know, or I need to know your weight in numbers. I need to know your date in numbers. Everything is the numbers. And like that, for me, like to explain some concepts around numerology, like we're all incarnated souls, right? And our souls are so freaking intelligent, so intelligent. Like I had a guy on my podcast, and he said to me that of all of the consciousness that exists and is available, human beings, because of our level of density with the energetics that we have, you know, available to us, we are able to perceive or access 3% of all consciousness, which is pretty wild. I mean, he said that that's basically unconscious.
Yeah.
You know,
makes perfect sense.
Perfect sense. Yes. And so like our souls are so like they have to be so much more intelligent than what we could even fathom, right? And so people ask me, do you think, you know, like we choose this before we come? I'm like, yes, of course. Like, of course we do, you know, like it's just logical. Like if you knew you were going to, like in 2 weeks time, if you knew that you had to go to the shittest of the shit place and do the shittest of the shit work, you know, surrounded by the shittest of the shit people, you would probably want to do as much preparation as possible. You know, you'd want to set yourself up with all the things that you know you need in order to navigate that reality, that experience as unscathed, or do you know what I mean, as you possibly can. So you know, like the soul frequency that we are, the incarnated soul part, anything about that you want to know about, the truth of it, what it's here to do, accomplish, the modality it's here to accomplish it through, like all of that information is literally laid out in a person's birth name. and then the soul, like we can't exist in a physical realm without a physical, right? So then the date of birth, this is the way that I see it, the date of birth is like the make and the model of the vehicle that your soul has purchased to navigate this reality through. And then that life path number is like, this is the main highway you got to drive on, and you stop at certain, you know, very specific small towns, and you have like breakdowns, and you know, you pop a tire, and you know, you have all these trials and tribulations along that life path, along that highway. But they also make up the skills and the tools that you need to get out of your vehicle, so that when you get to your client's house, when you get to your soul's, you know, location, or like the work that your soul's really here to do is that starts once you arrive at that client's house. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually, because I was just thinking, like, so I'm a 303 like you, ruling number, And just listening to your podcast, I learned a lot, because you've actually had a lot of guests that are 303s as well. So I'm just like, yeah, that's me. I'm here to communicate. Again, my human design, I'm a self-projected projector. I have my G center, my identity center connected to my throat. I'm here to literally express who I am through communicating. I'm here to provide direction to others. And so I'm like, yeah, that's me. Like, totally get it. And that makes sense. Like, that's the road you're meant to take to get to where you're going. Like, that makes so much sense. Do you want to get into Isaac's? Because I'm curious, actually. So he's a 34-7, is that right? Ruling number?
Yes, 34-7.
So what's that energy all about? Because I always hear 7's a really spiritual number. People always say that 7's a really spiritual number, but aren't they all?
Well, first break down. So where's the 34 come from?
That's what everything adds up to.
Okay.
So this is the simplicity of numbers. Your life path number, or your ruling number, is literally, to calculate it, it's the sum of your birth date. Okay. And the way that I'm super annoyingly thorough when it comes to things, one of my biggest is when people dismiss those first two numbers. They just say you're a 3 life path or you're a 7 life path. I'm like, there's a huge difference. Like, if you look at this like it's a highway, right?
Yeah.
Highway 347 is a completely different highway to highway 7.
Yeah.
And that will lead you to two completely different places. So you need to know exactly the highway you're supposed to be on, because then it's specific to you and your life path. And
well, especially because you could be a 257, you know what I mean? Or you could be a 459 or a 369. Like, it's, you can, get to that end number in different ways as well.
100%. And even like the sequencing of that number makes all the difference. So exactly the same scenario, highway 347 is still a totally different highway to highway 437, even though it's made up with the same numbers, right? So so the 347, the 3 comes for, 3s always love other 3s, by the way. 3s love other 3s. It's like, it's the 3 is a childlike energy. You know, you could swap the word consciousness out and bring in the word imagination, and then you start to get this, you start to feel into that very childlike, curious, I'm a student for life, but it's Earth School that I'm here to learn from. Yeah. You know?
That actually makes total sense, because we were very drawn to each other in the beginning. Like, that all resonates.
Yeah, we're very good. We're schoolmates. Earth U.
The 347 is such a cool comment. So so other people, so Dale Holmes is a 34-7 as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. And so actually, so is Elon Musk.
There you go.
Interesting. There's potential. Okay.
There's potential for you to go to space, babe.
Got a lot to overcome before I get there.
But no, so the 347 life path, the 7s, how a life path number works is those first two numbers, they work in service to that main number, right? So the 3 is the childlike, the channeler, the communicator, the communication comes in all forms. So I often use the word expression, because it can be art, it can be singing, it can be music, it can be writing, it can be martial arts or dancing. It's all an expression of truth. And you hear a lot of creative people use the term creative flow. You know, that's literally the process of channeling. They don't know where this has come from, but it's from somewhere. So, you know, the 7 energy is, like, if you look at it, Donovan Gall, who's also another friend of mine and a numerologist, he likes to look at the numbers like they're symbols. And so he says that the 7 is like a lightning strike that connects the heavens to the earth, right? And so I find, like, of all the numbers, each number has their kind of theme, right? The 1s they come first, so they're like the leadership, you know, masculine energy. 2's love, 3 consciousness, channeling, communication. 4's are all about stability and loyalty and being of service. 5's is freedom, you know. 6's is, well, it's that mother, that protective nurturer, teacher type Mother Earth energy. 7's intelligence. It's intelligence. The 7s are the intelligence of all the numbers, and they are a kind of intelligence that is, it is multifaceted. It is multidimensional. It's not one school of thought, but it is like plucking little pieces from multiple different places and dimensions. And, you know, it's like they're always, on one hand, yes, very spiritual. We have 7 chakras, and the chakras themselves are the energetic gateways between the energy and the physical. They're, you know, the story of the 7 sisters. So it is a very, very spiritual energy. It's the energy that has you, you know, Isaac, stare off into the stars, but you're not looking at the stars. You're looking at what's beyond the stars. And is there another me in a parallel and how many other me's in parallel universes could there be? And am I thinking this in another universe? Right? You know, so it's like this very deeply profound, deeply contemplative, questioning the very fabric, asking the question why, like constantly throughout your life, never really getting to the real core of the answer. And your mind is like this massive jigsaw puzzle, and you're constantly like receiving little puzzle pieces, but the puzzle pieces is a puzzle within itself. And it's like, all right, how does this fit together? And then you put it up in the puzzle, in the big jigsaw puzzle, and then you wait probably about 2 to 5 business days just to kind of process and see, you know, how you feel about that placement. And then, you know, you're probably going to take it out and pull it apart and break it down and then put it in a different spot, and then another 3 to 5 business days. You know what I mean? So it's super spiritual and deep and all of that on one side, but then on the other side, they have these very scientific brains, very analytical, very skeptical, very research-based evidence. Like, give me where's the backing? Where are you? You know what I mean? So that's why they're like this magical gateway energy, and they are this amazing encyclopedia for knowledge. And, you know, it's intellect, but it's spiritual intellect. The cool thing about a 3-4-7, the 4 is the grounding. It's like if you didn't have that 4 energy, the 4 acts as like the weight to the balloon that the 3 and the 7 can be, you know. So this keeps your feet solid on the ground. It's like the 3 energy comes up with the ideas, and there's so many ideas as a manager, right? And as like that 3 energy, but then
100%.
The 4 energy will build the structures and the foundations between the ideas and to create the backing behind the ideas, right? As a 303 life path, I'll just come out with things with no evidence, no backing. It's just like pure channeling. I'm just...
That's me.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
Me.
And I have like, and the capacity to go and find the evidence to back up what I'm saying is basically not there. I'm just like, no, boom, 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 boom. This is what it is. And look, I will say a lot of the time we're on the money as a 303 because it's literally coming direct, like through that 0, that open portal of a 0. It's like direct channel. But the 347 has that, but also has the insane capacity to actually back up what they say. And so 347 is like a storyteller type energy. It's the capacity to see and have awareness for all, grab the puzzle pieces, but then actually bring it all together in a way and articulate it in a way that can be digestible to the here and now. So, yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, wow.
First of all, that's so Isaac. Does that resonate for you? Because knowing you, I'm like, that's so Isaac, like on so many levels.
Yeah, definitely with the deep thinking. I was always that as a kid. I was pretty quiet and would kind of just be off by myself doing stuff, thinking about things, and I would get deep into stuff that other people would be like, oh yeah, like that's an interesting book or that's this, and I'm like, no, but there's just all this parallel meanings, and if you pull this out, I see the patterns like.
And he does. He loves to like study lots of like, especially like our the episode we just released was we like did a deep dive on the Bible and like the true teachings and looking at it from a non-religious standpoint. And Isaac has done so much research. He grew up with religion, but then outside of that, he loves to get all these different perspectives and like read into all these different things. Whereas I'm just like, no, I just feel like it's this. Like I don't know why, but I just feel like it's this.
Yeah, and I'm looking for Easter eggs, and I'm finding some. Yeah, and
it's so interesting. So just because a couple of things you said, I was just like, I have to check this, and I did quickly. So one of the gates I have activated in my human design Now, it's interesting because I actually can't remember if it's gate 61 or gate 43, but it's that energy of asking the big questions, not necessarily getting the answers, but asking the big questions, the why. Both 61 and 43 add up to 7. And that's that energy. So I was like, oh my God, that's so wild. And what you just said about the 303, which is my ruling number, and not knowing, just like being like, oh, yeah, I know this, but I don't know how. That's actually part of my incarnation cross in my human design, is providing direction to people, but not necessarily knowing why or how or why they should go that way. But just, it's like this intuitive, like you just know, and but you won't be able to explain why. So I'm honestly, you've got my wheels are spinning, because I'm like, I feel like I need to do a deep dive now on like all of the gates, like all of the numbers within human design, and then how they interact, which I'll just put it on my, it's on my, your numerology course is already on my to-do list. So I'm gonna, when I do that, I reckon I'll be able to do like a full breakdown. I reckon I'm just going to create a whole new human design system that's coupled with numerology.
Oh my gosh. This is the thing that I love about numbers. Again, I will say it so many times.
Because it applies to everything.
And it doesn't matter, like every modality that exists, they all attempt to do the same thing, right? They all attempt to explain and decipher a person's energetics. That's at the heart of what they all do. And numbers and letters, literally, like you would not have any of those modalities without numbers and letters. Like whether it's human design, whether it's astrology, whether it's allopathic medicine, and we're attempting to put you on some kind of a spectrum, it's all numbers and freaking letters. And I'm just like, dude, let's start at step one. Let's first understand what we're doing with those freaking numbers first off, because we're using them every day. And a little quote that I say, and I'll be quoted one day, you watch. Something that I say to my students in my course is that, we use numbers every single day, but are you using numbers, or are the numbers using you? And because at a higher level, these numbers and numerology has been, and this is, so it's pretty wild because, oh gosh, I'm jumping all around, but that's what we do, right? Oh my gosh, now my brain's going in all these directions. Come on, human mouth, catch up.
I know it gets like that sometimes. I totally feel that. Yeah.
So when I first learnt numerology, it was a wild experience because so the woman that I learnt from, her name is Jo, beautiful, beautiful woman, I think in her 60s at the time, randomly she came to me very, very synchronistically, was not looking for this at all. And the most I'd known about numerology or numbers was that I just really enjoyed maths in school. That was really it. I know people are like, oh, it's the Asian thing,
You know what's funny though? I was also, up until year 10.
I was waiting to get to that. I was like, makes sense.
But for me, honestly, up until year 10, my best subjects, I took advanced math and advanced English. I ended up dropping math because I had to choose my subjects, and you do less subjects. But that was when I actually loved math as well. And the reason I loved it was because it always made sense. Like you have the formula, you do it, and it works. And if it doesn't work, you've gotten the formula wrong somewhere along the way, or the equation. And then I've always loved numbers too. So I feel like it makes sense that I've naturally gravitated towards numerology as well.
Absolutely. And I couldn't that's exactly why I loved maths as well, because it was so definitive. It's like, as long as there may be two different formulas to solve this kind of question, as long as you can recognize the question, you'll get it right every single time. And if you don't, there's a practical, logistical reason why you haven't. And it's out here in reality. It's not based off opinion. I used to really not like English or all these social studies and stuff, because it's like, write an essay that is your opinion based off someone's opinion, and then my teacher grades me based off their opinion of my opinion of someone else's opinion. And I'm just like, too much room for error here. Too much room for error, so yeah, like that was the most I knew about numbers, and then my teacher very, very, very synchronistically showed up in my world, and she had been practicing numerology for 30 plus years, but kind of behind the scenes, wasn't fully back then. Numerology was still 30, well, now it'd be 40, close to 40 years ago. It was just nobody was giving it any time of day. Even astrology was still too woo-woo at that point. So she was very behind the scenes with it. And she learnt from a gentleman who learnt from his grandfather, who learnt from his grandfather.
Oh, amazing.
And so on and so forth. So it's this really passed down knowledge. And we'd be going through this teaching, this learning experience that I really don't like doing things unless I know why I'm doing them. I'll switch to the end of the book and be okay, that's where we're going. Okay, good. But I was doing this out of it was just I'm following this, obviously I'm supposed to, so I'm just following and not knowing why. And I kept having this experience through these sessions with her. I'd say out loud, not meaning to, that's right. Oh yeah. Oh, I remember. And I didn't remember. I don't know. I was what do you mean? It became that happened so regularly. And then by the end of that whole learning experience, it was kind of testing me a little bit. And it was really weird. I just learned this brand new language. And all of a sudden I was basically fluent in it. I was saying things that she was learning from, and I didn't know where that came from. And I kind of was it's a past life thing, maybe that's what it is. Not really knowing that much about past lives at that point. And I had a couple of readings from different psychics, one of them Rachel Vaughan, one of them Jeanette Archer, and they both picked up on my soul being present in the birthplace of numerology.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of freaky. And Jeanette especially, what she said to me is that she's very firm in believing that my soul was part of the original creation of numerology. And I'm still a little bit, I'm no, I'll wait for a tablet, to show up.
Just go dig it in the back.
But the thing that resonated with me so much that I was in tears when she said this was that, Earth, she said, Earth is actually the third planet that you've brought numerology to. And I was has that got anything to do with the 303 life path? Anyway, keep going.
Very interesting.
She said that, you had such beautiful intentions with this modality. However, a few thousand years after you brought it here, the Satanists came. They stumbled upon it and, this seems like a really powerful modality. Let's keep that to ourselves and actually use it to invert and manipulate and suppress and all of the things. And when she said this to me, I just started bawling my eyes out because it was there has been a rage inside of my body that I've never been able to place, ever been able to play. Where in the world would I place this rage? And she said, so part of the reason why you've incarnated back is literally because you're pissed off that they've done this, and you want to not only want to take the numbers back, but restore them and then give them back, place them back in the hands of the people, which is where it belongs in the first place. And that's why I believe numerology and numbers are so simple, is because if it's for the empowerment of sovereignty for the individual, then it has to be simple enough that any individual can grasp it, and I love the simplicity of it. So I don't know why I shared that or where I was going with it, but
that makes so much sense for you too, because even just that story, it's it makes perfect sense that as a soul you would choose on some level to come in, experience what you've experienced, not only to take back numerology, but also be well, fuck you guys, to the Satanists. You wanted to do this to me, and I'm you've come back with a vengeance. I love it. We could write a movie about that. We need to make a movie about your soul incarnations, Georgina. I love it.
Oh my gosh, yes. But it does also speak to why I would have experienced some of the satanic experiences that I've experienced, because, that's pretty threatening. When you build a reality around inverting the numbers, and you think about how much our world relies, like we would not be able to operate without the use of numbers. It's every facet of, it's like train schedules, it's like TV program schedules, it is like bank accounts, it's building sites, it's hairdressing, it is in every facet of every part of our reality. You know, it's like reps at the freaking gym. It is everything. Like the Olympics wouldn't exist without numbers. Like it is every facet of our reality. And to harness, and like most people go through school and be like, mathematics in school is so effed up, it's so ridiculously complicated and convoluted and insane. Like our brains at that age is not even fully developed, let alone like we're trying to force children to comprehend and learn something that our developmental brains are not, they don't have the capacity to learn this yet. So of course trauma is going to happen. No one then goes in life going to look at their own numbers. This is why numerology is so behind in terms of the modalities, and it's only now starting to, you know, really catch up. But most people are like, numbers, ooh, you know, like that's wild to me. And it's such a potent and powerful modality that exists in everything, and they use it. And it's like, you want to understand the playbook, understand the freaking numbers, and then just what does that number represent? Just invert it. There you go. You know, this is how I knew Trump was going to win last year, because of the energy that he was specifically under. You know, 2025 is a 9 year. They're going to we have literally war breaking out in the world. Like everything is coming up to the surface. Like the whole intention of the 9 energy, when we cycle through the 1 to 9, which we do every 9 years, the 9 it's like a big floodlight that is only going to light up what is unhealed, what is undealt with, so that we can transmute it, ready for that 1 energy, the new beginning. But the inversion of that is to keep us traumatized. So they're going to throw everything at us to keep us traumatized, so that we remain programmable, essentially. And it's all an energy harvest, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like you can really understand the playbook by simply understanding the numbers. And this is what sovereignty looks like. It's like you can see it, so you can actively, you know, say no, you know, energetically say, I'm not, no, you know, like the whole year of 2024, when we were leading up to this election, everybody was in this anticipated state of who's going to win, Kamala or this or Trump. And that anticipation energy is like, you are literally an open vessel that is like giving your energy to something. The moment you go, oh, of course Trump's going to win, you're like straight away, you're not an open vessel anymore. It's like, I can move on with my life. I don't have to worry, you know. It was under a 28-1 energy, and the election was under a 1 energy for that month. It's like, you know, when I looked up Kamala Harris's birth date, I found 3 different birth dates for her. I'm like, no,
interesting.
That's just not going to that's no. You know, she's literally distraction, confusion, and that's all she was. You know what I mean? So it was just going to be Trump the whole time. But that's like something I figured out at the beginning of 2024 when I was like, oh, I'll just look up his numbers.
I just imagine like looking through your eyes, Georgina, must be like, you know, that scene in A Beautiful Mind where it's just like the numbers everywhere. Like that just must be you going through life. Like you should make a meme about that. Point of view, Georgina's reality, and it's just like numbers everywhere, like because they're everywhere. And I'd be like you. I'm a little, like I said, I'm a little bit like that with human design. I want to know everyone's charts and like really, but like with the numbers, it literally is everywhere. And I actually wanted to ask. I'm glad you brought up like the 2025 energy, because I know that we're collectively. So I just wanted to clarify. So the year that we're in, is that more like a collective, like the number represents more of the collective energy, but then we have our personal year numbers, because Isaac and I, the first part of our birth dates, when you take the year away, adds up to the same. And so we're always in the same personal year. And we had a personal year 9 last year. And so when you said like it's the clearing, everything coming up to the surface, things that need to be healed, like, yeah, we know it. Like it was real. Like it was, but it's interesting. It's also really interesting now, like being in a collective year 9, but we're in a personal year 1. So would you say that your personal year is more specific to you and what you're experiencing in your life, but then you've also kind of got this collective energy that's like overarching and also influencing to some degree?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. It's a really good way to put it. So you're both specifically under a 19-1 this year. 191.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
that having that 9 energy is still kind of intense with the universal 9 energy. So
What's the 19? What is that? I've been seeing 1911s and 911s a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. You're under a 19-1 this year. That's how, see, I'm annoying with this stuff. It's like, you're not just under a 1 energy. You're under a 9.
Well, that makes a lot of sense actually too, because I do still feel a lot of that 9 energy, but I'm like, I think it's just all the collective. But because I feel like I am definitely personally experiencing a lot of, I feel like I'm experiencing a lot of that 9 energy of that, like everything coming to the surface and needing to be healed, while I'm like, there's a lot of new things happening and starting and new beginnings. And fuck, it's intense. Like it's really intense.
Yeah, it's super intense. And like oh my gosh, I spent a lot of like last year, early this year, and still now, like warning people, like not wanting to fearmonger, but like, guys, it's a 9 energy, like invest in your healing this year. It's going to be like really freaking intense. And the opportunities for healing, AKA the triggers, are going to be like low hanging fruit for you, just being like bumping into them left, right, and center. So you're either going to bury your head in the sand or you're gonna move into it. Please go into it, because we need that collective healing, transmuting energy, you know? And I'm like going crazy, like saying this to everybody. Meanwhile, the spokesperson for this, the messenger, is going through the absolute freaking, I'm like, who was I really warning? Was it them or me? I'm like, thing after thing after thing. And that's what happens with the 9 energy. It is like literally thing after thing after thing. And it's not just a 9 year this year. We're in a 9 year, but from 2025, right? And so when a 5 energy is around, and, you know, like say you're born on the 5th of the 5th. So it's like, this is and Isaac, you have, oh no, actually you have 6 different numbers in your birth date, which is freaking wild. I don't know if you've noticed, but you have 3, 6, and 9 all in your birth date, Isaac, which is pretty cool. But you have 6 different numbers. That's a lot of different numbers in your birth date. That's a lot. Considering the most amount of numbers you can have in a birth date is 7, right? And we only have 9 numbers. So it's like the amount of people don't look at this. This is the thing. Numbers are so freaking simple. The amount of numbers you have are like the gears you have in your gearbox of the make and the model of the vehicle that your soul's here to drive around. So the more gears you have, you know, the faster you can go, the more places you can be. You're like here, there, and bloody everywhere, and you're busy, and you can have capacity to hold a lot of things. It's like one number is one channel. One channel is like Netflix. It has thousands of different shows and movies on. You have 6 of them, you know, so.
That's so interesting, because again, that's like totally.
I can go in all different directions. I can feel that, where I'm like.
It totally aligns with your man gen energy as well.
Yeah,
it's very
I've
much.
reinvented myself so many times to where it's not even reinventing. I'm just. Like what is it? You know, I was, you know, bass player, rock star as a teen, and then BMX rider, like, you know, tough military guy, father, like, you know, oil field business owner, builder, you know,
very
remodeler,
multifaceted,
gardener, like,
he's handy to have around. He's really handy to have around.
So just all these different directions that I feel pretty competent in. So.
And how's that? Like, that's so perfect, because that perfectly feeds into the 3, 4, 7. The 7s are so multifaceted. So like their intelligence base is so like expansive, and having 6 different numbers, the 6 energy comes through. So it's like through all of these different physical incarnations, right? Like literally you have gained so much knowledge and awareness, like hands-on practical knowledge and awareness of so many different things, whilst also you're not just doing those things actively in the physical world, but you're also, your mind is being taken up elsewhere. So you're like physically over here doing this, but your mind is like researching into like the cosmos of the
Yeah.
you know? So it's just like
Literally.
And what's super cool about you, Alexa, is that you're,
I know I only have 3 numbers. I'm a double 1, double 5, double 9. I'm dying to hear what this means for me.
so that is like, it's really cool because meanwhile you have 3 different numbers. So then your energy is much more focused, right? So it's like, so for example, in most cases, I'll say most cases, it's different though. For example, Isaac could be listening to a podcast, cleaning, he could be cooking dinner, having a conversation with someone, researching something in the background, and then remembering, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot this over here, right? And like, so there's a level of, I call it like external chaos, internal stillness, you know, so he will thrive in like hustle and bustle culture environment that will give him focus, versus you're kind of the opposite in a way. It's like, I like things to kind of be still and tidy and things to be in their place, you know, so that then I can focus in a way. So at the same time though, you've got a 3 and a 5 combination, and when 3s and 5s are together, these are the ones that get heavily diagnosed with ADHD and
Right.
so it's like you have a bit of both of those energies, where sometimes it's like I need absolute silence in order to focus, but then there's other times where it's like, I need to get out, I need to, you know, free flow, and you know, so it'd be like such a like dichotomy for you, and it's just in the moment that you're not someone that you can like predict or schedule like when you're going to be in the still silent phase, or when you need space and movement and like
that's so true. And it's funny, that's why I almost like I do like routine, but it's hard for me to schedule, because then I do like sometimes I'm like, I've got this whole day planned, but I don't feel like doing that today. Like I don't, you know what I mean? And I can't, or sometimes I need to sit and focus on something, but I just can't focus on. I like need to go out for a walk, or I need to like be more active, or I feel like being more social. And then sometimes it's the opposite, where I'm like, I've got social stuff and I'm like, I don't feel like socializing, I just want to be at home, and I just want to be like, really like focusing in on something. That's 100%.
Yes, absolutely. And that's like very much the five energy, yes, they're the seeker of freedom. It's a masculine energy, and so all odd numbers are masculine, right? So the masculine energy is an external energy, right? It's all external. So it's like doing out in the world, it's physical, you know, type energy. Feminine is internal. It's the feeling, the emotion, the like that. So so the 5s, it's all about the search of physical freedom and space. And there's no rhyme or rhythm to how a 5 energy operates. Like there's no predictability to it. Like a lot of 5s, the places that they are the most heavily celebrated is in sports. So players that wear the number 5 or combinations that add up to 5. So like, for example, the number 23, that's Michael Jordan, that's Shane Warne, you know, that's David Beckham, all heavily celebrated and known all over the world as like the best of the best, right? And all of them, if you look at the way that they play, they don't just play one position, you know, they're all over the court. They're all over the field. They're good at shooting hoops, but they're also good at defending. They're also good in the middle with the tap out or whatever the heck. I don't know the lingo. But, you know, they play all the field. They play the whole position and they play it really well. And wherever the ball bounces, wherever the ball is, that 5 energy is there. So it's a very extreme energy. It's like if my focus is there, then I'm 100% there, or I'm 0% there. There's no in between. It's 100% or 0%. You know, there's no in between.
So me.
Yeah, she is really like excellent at at the things that she does, and it's impressive. Good job.
Thanks.
Whether it's organizing stuff, whether it's, you know, cooking meals and being like chef quality food, I'm pretty spoiled.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Like, because I'm thinking like sports, like in a team dynamic, I'm a little bit like that in a team where I'm kind of good at all the roles, and like especially in my previous job, like even in because then I ended up in leadership roles, and it was really difficult. Like it was a big lesson for me to learn to delegate because I could do all the things, and so I'd end up doing all the things and then trying to lead the team, and I'm like, and they're like, no, you have to delegate or you're just going to get burnt out, which I did. And now it's something I'm trying to I'm trying to decondition from in my own business, because then you just end up doing all the things and you're only one person, and like you either have to take the lead or sort of, you know, be doing all the things. That's super, super interesting. And I wanted to ask one more thing specifically with the numbers, because you've kind of described, so like the life path is like kind of like the road that you're taking, and then your birth date is, what was the make and model of the car?
Yeah, the birth date, yeah.
Oh, the birthday is like the make and model. And then so when you're born with your name, I've got so many questions about the names, right? So with the names, obviously you're born and your parents give you a name, but then you've also got your family name. And so you can work out your numbers, and because we've all done this, like that's why when I first started learning numerology, I was doing everyone's names. And so you can get the number for your first name, your given name or names, but then you can do a separate number for your family name, but then you can do the whole thing. How do the different energies play out of like your given names or the name that you use, compared to like your family name? Like, would you say the energy of the family name is kind of what carries through the generations, and then your name is like everything together? Such a big one. I'm sorry.
No, it's great. It's really, really, really good. So when I do it, I actually incorporate the entire name itself, because that name, honestly, like we separate it out into separate names, but at a soul level, it's the combination of letters that soul needs to represent its journey here, right? Yeah. So the soul would not recognize it as separate names, because at a soul level, there is no separation. Duality only exists in the physical. So what I do when I work it out is there's different, like I look at the entirety, but as you said, like that family name can definitely tell a story about that specific lineage of that name and the history of that name. That would be very, very interesting to look into that at a soul level and what that means and how that would show up. Very, very, very interesting. But when I'm reading an individual person's chart, so there's 4 main aspects that comes out of a person's name that's really calculated from the entirety of the name, just different ways to calculate it. And I spend an entire session breaking this down. So the different aspects are the soul's urge, the soul's persona, the soul's expression, and the soul's destiny, right? So everything to do with a person's name is always speaking to who they are as a soul. Everything to do with the person's date of birth is speaking to who they are and what they're here to do and be in the physical, right? And so to break those down even further, the soul's urge, I look at you know how people go into a new year and they set these New Year's resolutions, and those New Year's resolutions are based off what they haven't been able to do in the past. That's how I see the soul's urge, is those numbers tell me a story about this deep desire at a soul level. It's like whether I've been to earth before and I have not been able to experience this and I desperately, deeply want to experience it, or it's like the first time in a long time, or the first time, and it's like I'm coming because I really want to experience this or try this or achieve this or accomplish this. That's the soul's urge. So I can learn a lot about past life experiences or past soul experiences, or, you know, what's really at the heart yearning level for this soul. The soul's persona is like the kind of soul you are. So if I was a tradie, for example, that's great, but what kind of tradie are you? You know, are you an electrician or a plumber or a painter or a spark, like I just said, Sparky, an electrician anyway.
For the American listeners, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, that's the kind of soul you are. And just like if I was an electrician, which past life I was an electrician in my earlier life, then I'm naturally going to just know all the things about electrical work, right? So the kind of soul you are talks to like, well, this is like the back of my hand, this stuff. This is what I came here. This is the resource that, you know, like I imagine if there's like a table, all these beings that sit at the table and they decide who goes into earth at what time and what resources we need, because a soul is a resource. It's like, okay, you're a resource. We need you here in this place in the planet. You got to transmute this energy in that area. You know, that persona, that soul's persona is like, all right, that's the kind of resource you are. So this is the natural things that you're going to be drawn to be doing and being in this life. And then the soul's expression is like the specific modality that your soul wants to express itself through, if that makes sense. How when you express something, it manifests into the physical. So this is how you want to use that knowledge in this physical realm, so to speak. And the soul's destiny is, when I've done all of that, this is the results that I'm here to achieve.
Yeah.
And the thing that's important to understand about this is that we don't actually have to work on this information. We don't have to work on developing our soul's persona. We don't have to work on developing our soul's modality. We don't have to work on that stuff. Simply because, and this is channeled, this is my belief, my opinion, whatever you want to call it, the soul itself isn't suppressed. There's no suppression that can occur at a soul level within and of itself. It's like, I see it like a river that's flowing like to its fullest capacity, and it will flow to its fullest capacity unless there's some kind of blockage, some kind of damming. And if there's a damming or a blockage, it's only ever going to be something physical, like a physical, like dam of logs, or you know what I mean? There's only ever going to be something physical damming up that river. And that's why understanding your physical aspects of yourself, aka the things that are under your birth date, and doing the work you need to do to heal your human physical experience, align your physical human experience to what you came here and what you signed up for and how you came to express yourself and is literally the work you need to do to allow and be an open channel, an open river for that consciousness, that soul expression, the soul work to actually be done. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I was curious, like, sort of what the name represents. And because also what I'm curious about too is like when you, because I know people that have changed their names, and especially like, because they've like not done it for the numerology, but they've taken that into perspective and they're like, I prefer this number, so I'm going to go by this name now, and they've changed their names. And like I've had people, like my mum has her, you know, her given name, like her birth name, but then she pretty much goes by Nina, like within the family, and like most people that know her. And then someone told her, well, you know, your given name, this is actually a much better number, which I can't stand when people do that, when they're just like, no, this is a better energy, this number. And it's like, they all just have different energies. No one is better or worse than the other.
Yeah.
And then they were like, you should only go by that name. And, yeah. And then that's what I said to my mom. I'm like, but I like, for me, like people call me, like only people like really close friends call me Lex. And even sometimes we'll just, like instinctually they'll just call me that when they get to know me, and I find it really endearing because and obviously that's going to have a different resonance to, and even just in the way that it's said, and the people that call me that, it has a different resonance. And like I feel that way with my mom, like all of the family and all of our loved ones call her that. And so I guess, yeah, how does it play out when obviously, yes, you're born with this? So would you say like the name that you're born with, that's like all of this soul stuff, but then what about the names that we're either given like nicknames, or if you change, like if you get married or like you change your name for whatever reason, how does that kind of play out with the numbers, with the energy?
It's very, so people that have been in my courses and things like that, they know that I don't like any version of generalization. So I have to I'm like, no. Like, there's no two people that have the same experience, aka the same numerology, even if on paper their charts are exactly the same, which would be very rare that you're born on the same day and have the same name, but it's a constellation of energy that you're interacting with throughout your life. You learn how to express your energy through watching other people express the same energy, and no one else has had that timeline of interactions. So your constellation is energy is very unique, and there's no two people that exist that are the same. Right. So everybody has unique needs. So I don't like generalizations, but I'm going to answer this generally.
Of course, because there's always so much nuance to everything. But but generally speaking.
Generally speaking. And I love this question. So I'll answer the quick and easy ones first. When it comes to people getting married and changing their surname, typically, most of the time, I will say that doesn't actually hold much sway over the original contract, so to speak. So I look at the chart that you create with someone's birth date and name, that I call that the incarnation contract, you know? And so most of the time that marriage is part of that original contract, right? There are nuances where people have, been sitting in a meditative state or whatever, and they received a name and then they changed their name, and that literally, that can either mean that they have literally signed up for more, or they have changed the trajectory of their soul path, because a name is a soul path. The life path is the physical path. Those two are not the same. A lot of people don't realize that. Your soul can be pulled in a certain direction, your physical pulled in another, right? So a lot of the time they'll match, of course, that makes sense, but they can, with trauma and stuff, have friction. Anyway, so people that change their name because of some spiritual reason partway through their lives, or et cetera, I've done readings for people where that's the case, and they've literally altered their original trajectory, where they have said, all right, I'm actually completing that contract, and I am now bringing on another one. Wild, why you would, that's crazy. I've done readings for people where they've actually, I don't know, the capacity of some souls is insane, but they're like working on two soul paths at the same time.
Wow.
Wild. So there's a lot of nuances with this, but the name is a massive deal. And so when people start playing around with their names and like, oh, I just don't like the lettering of this, or I don't know why I was named, I'm just like, whoa, just like back up a little. You don't know what you're actually playing with there, like, because that's massive. It's a massive thing to be doing. But when it comes to like nicknames and things people call you, like something I channeled recently, which I'm so grateful for because it's just changed my whole world, is that our voices are the cake is ready if you want to.
I was like, what is that?
Perfect. Yeah, I had something together.
That's giving me the wind up, Georgina. You are talking way too much.
Or you were about to say something that was spot on.
Yeah, ding! That was a sign from the universe. You're on the right track. Yeah.
So good. So good. Yes, our voices are literally, now, I don't know, Isaac, you could probably do a deep dive and do research on this, but I'm a 303 and I just pluck things and say it. And I'm like, that is true. But our voices are literally the resonance of our soul's consciousness. Wild, right? And so people will say, and I've said this so many times, like I cannot stand the sound of my own voice, like listening to it back on record. I'm like, oh, I can't stand it. And a lot of people will be like, oh no, like it's great. It's a beautiful voice. Maybe there's something to do with self-worth or all this stuff there. And I'm like, no, hang on a second. Like if you've ever turned on the radio and it's a distorted sound and it's actually hard to hear, like you can't listen to it because it's so crackly or whatever it is. Like, what if there's actual legitimacy behind not being able to stand the sound of your own voice? Because what if what you're hearing isn't a true resonance of your actual soul's consciousness? Like, it's an actual suppressed version or a distorted version of your voice. And, you know, it's only been since I've been through this deep unraveling and walking through the wildfires of the darkness that I can actually now tolerate hearing my own voice, because it actually sounds familiar. It sounds like me and what I truly sound like, you know. So when you have that context in the background and then you think about what we're actually saying, like, we call people, we call the name which represents a soul frequency. Our soul's resonance is calling other soul resonance, soul frequencies into being. And so when you have a nickname, you will at some level show up to that person in a way that represents what they are calling forth within you.
Yeah.
There's a different version of you. Like, Lex is a different being, a different entity, a different soul frequency to Alexa. And the places where you're referred to as Alexa, there's a different person there versus Lex. You know, my family growing up calls me Gina, and I literally saying that out loud makes me wince. You know, that's a whole version of me that I'm like, ooh, what is that? You know, and I have friends, most people call me G now or Gigi, and I love it. I love it. It's very endearing, you know, or Georgina is like very, you know, they're all, you're literally calling forth a different being, a different frequency, literally by your soul's resonance.
It makes so much sense, because it literally, like, in when we lived in Sydney, because I'm born and raised there, and my parents were there their whole lives as well, and that was, my mum would use Naveen, her given name, at work, and Nina was like everyone else, and it was that's how I used to always say, is like these two different personas. And that definitely resonates for me. And I'm aware of time, Georgina. I could talk to you all day. Like, I could just totally nerd out on the numbers with you. I love it. And I'm not even joking. Like, the number, because I know you just started your course, your fundamentals, or your foundational course, and I was so torn. I was like, really wanted to do it, but I'm so overcommitted to courses and coaching and things at the moment. But please let everyone know your offerings, because you've got your courses, you do readings. Let everyone know how they can work with you and learn from you and get in touch.
Yes, I'm so excited. So I still do one-on-one readings. My most popular readings that I do are 2-hour readings, and that's a full chart reading of your life path, number, date of birth, your name, everything. So that's the most popular reading. I do offer 1-hour life path readings. Not as popular. People seem to just want the whole caboodle, which is great. I love that. I also, of course, run courses. My favorite thing in the world to do is teach numbers and teach numerology. You know, that old saying, like, you can give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, or you can teach him how to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. So, you know, I love, love, love teaching. I just started a course. There'll definitely be more scheduled soon. And I'm also, one thing that I'm very excited about is I've been experimenting with taking people through, I've been calling it consciousness healing. Like, as I've been going through these dark unravelings, I'm learning that I think that's something that I'm supposed to be offering as well. So I've have my first proper healing session today with a woman who's just amazing. So I am going to be offering some healing sessions that are more, it's going to be using numerology, but very multifaceted and very unique to what I'm discovering through what I'm going through. So
yeah, amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
And I know you're doing couples, like sessions for couples now. When I saw you, when you launched your new sessions, I saw that and I was like, oh, we need to do it. We need to do it. Because I love that stuff, and doing, like, you know, astrology readings with, like, both of you, like composite charts, and like human design, you can do that, and love it. So interesting.
I think this is really amazing for people going forward. I don't know if you have teenagers or kids that go through your trainings as well, but I was just imagining, like, reimagining what life would be like if people had this tool as a kid growing up, and you have this power and this seeing, this ability to see through things and see and interpret and have this wisdom, this universal, you know, God-powered wisdom from an early age in your reality. That would be amazing. So if you have kids, maybe try do some homeschooling with them. And
well, as you said that, I was like, we plan on homeschooling our kids when we have kids, and we're going to have, okay, today's lesson is with Georgina. We're learning numerology today. Like, just start them young.
Yes.
100%.
It's so exciting. They're my favorite readings to do. I often will do readings for new parents of their new babies, and that's something like, that's what started the whole numerology thing in the first place. Is I used to be a doula and support birth, and then as a special gift to the mum, I'd give them a little numerology chart and a little reading of their newborns, and then that just like snowballed into what it is now. And I don't really support birth anymore, but they're like some of my most favorite readings to do, because it's like, this baby gets to be known and supported and empowered and nurtured, not based off what society says, but based off what they say. So they get to be known without even having to say a word, like that's everything to me. Everything.
I love that. And honestly, Georgina, we'll have to get you on for another episode just to talk about birthing, because that's a whole other rabbit hole that we could spend probably another 2 hours talking about.
100%.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. We'll have all your links in the show notes. Highly recommend, get a reading, look at the courses she's got, follow her on Instagram. I love your Instagram videos. You're just always such a crack up. You just show up so authentic. You just show up as you all the time. And love it. Love your work. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll definitely chat to you again soon.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. It's been the best fun.
Healing modalities, mindsets, and methods that reconnect us to nature and our natural state of being.
If something resonated, share this episode and see the show notes for our guest links, as well as all of our discount codes for our aligned affiliates and Natural Art Form, where we handcraft a range of organic, natural remedies to help support your body's natural healing abilities and help support the show.
If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please take a few seconds to leave us a rating and review. And if you're watching on Rumble or YouTube, hit the like button and drop us a comment, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for the latest updates.
We're not here to conform, we're here to remember what's real. So step into your power, be curious, and be natural AF.